Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another meal prep video. In today's video, I'm going to be making breakfast bowls for breakfast prep, and for lunch prep, it is going to be ground beef hash. Just a couple dinner kits this week and really no prep for snack because I'm just doing fruits and things like that. So if you want to see how I pull this all together for my husband and I, then stay with me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kristi and I'm Planning Us Healthy. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kristi. I'm currently following the WW Blue program, but on my channel, I do provide the points for all three programs, and I also share calories as well. So it's actually Sunday. The Super Bowl is getting ready to start here in a little bit, and I needed to do my intro and my ending for this video. So I actually did my meal prep yesterday on Saturday. I had my grandson for a sleepover, so things kind of got bumped around a little bit because, as you know, he takes priority. So he came over yesterday about dinner time, so I was able to get the prep done yesterday, so I filmed that. So I'm going to be showing you what I prepped yesterday. All right, I'm doing things a little bit out of order this week because I have to kind of piecemeal everything because it's just kind of a crazy weekend. I'm going to have my grandson, and it's also Super Bowl weekend. So it's actually Saturday morning, and this is a slow cooker recipe, so I want to get this started now. So this is what we're having for lunch. This is slow cooker ground beef hash. The way this is on the website, it's 6 points on blue and green and 4 points on purple. That is with the cheese. So each portion gets 1/8 of a cup of cheese. Velveeta shreds is what I used when I made this, but I'm not going to put any cheese on it right now. I may just add a little bit of cheese the day we have this. This is really good without cheese, honestly. So that's going to bump the points down. It's going to be 5 points for blue and green and 3 points for purple. And calories is 405 minus whatever 1/8 of a cup of Velveeta is. So I'll figure that out and put the calories without the Velveeta on the screen. But with the Velveeta, the calories are 405. Also, if you're new to my channel, all the recipes will be linked down in the description box below, as well as any of the items that you see me using, like my Instant Pot, my measuring spoons, anything that I can think of to put down there, I'll link down there for you. The recipe is actually for a serving of 4, so I'm going to be taking the recipe and bumping it up so that I can make enough for 6. So the first thing we're going to need is 1.5 pounds of ground beef. And the recipe calls for the 96% extra lean. I have 90% lean, so what I'm going to do is just cook it up in my pan, put it on a paper towel and blot it, and then rinse it in hot water, and that's how I say that I can make it 96% extra lean. Up to you whether you want to do that or not. We're also going to need 1 to 2 stalks of celery. The recipe calls for 1 small onion. Instead of using 1.5, I'm just going to use a medium-sized onion. We also need 4.5 tablespoons of the onion soup mix, 1.5 cups of beef broth, which I don't have any beef broth, so I'm just using these beef bouillon cubes. So what I've done is I've got 2 cups of water and 2 bouillon cubes in there, and I'll just use 1.5 cups of it. And then in here, I have some salt and pepper. I have about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and also a little bit of garlic powder, probably about 1/4 teaspoon. I would say be careful of the salt just because of the bouillon cubes and the onion soup mix. I'm sure those are already salty, but this recipe can come out a little bit bland, so that's why I do go ahead and add the salt to this one now. I almost forgot about the hash browns. We also are going to need 18 ounces of hash browns. For the serving of 4, it calls for 12. So for the serving of 6, I'm going to use 18 ounces. And these are the ones that I usually get, the Season's Choice from Aldi. The other ones that come out to the same points are the Great Value ones. Those come out to the same points. So the thing is, I don't have 18 ounces in here, so I'm actually just going to mix in some of these potatoes O'Brien with it. So what I'm going to do is just get my ground beef cooking, get my beef broth going, and cut up my onion and celery. All right, that is cooked through, so now I'm gonna bring it over to my sink and we're gonna make it extra lean. All right, first thing I'm gonna do, I've got a bowl down there, and then I've got a strainer, colander, whatever you wanna call it, and then I've got some paper towels. So I'm just gonna first pour the beef in the paper towels. You don't necessarily have to use the paper towels, honestly. You can just pour it right into the colander and then rinse it off. And actually, with it being 90%, I really didn't need to use the paper towels. The paper towels usually come in handy when you're using something with more fat content. So then just kind of pull the paper towels out of there. And now we're just gonna rinse it under hot water. And like I said, I've got the bowl so that it catches any of the grease, because you definitely don't want that grease to go down your sink. So now I'm going to weigh out the 18 ounces of hash browns. Went a tad over, but that's okay. So now we're just going to combine everything together. So I've got the salt, pepper, and garlic powder mixture. I've got my 4.5 tablespoons of onion soup mix, which this is the kind from Publix, so if you have other kind like Lipton or something, that's fine. And I measured it out, and it's pretty much 4.5 tablespoons for the whole bag. And we're gonna dump in the burger. And finally, the 1.5 cups of broth. Actually, that water evaporated some, so I'm just going to put the rest of that in there. There's not much in there. Now just take a spoon and stir it all together. And then we're going to put this in the slow cooker, and this is going to slow cook for about 4 to 6 hours. Now on the recipe it does say 6 to 8 hours. That's just because typically I usually cook anything between 6 and 8 hours. But this, because the ground beef is already cooked, it should be done in about 4. Using the slow cook function of my Instant Pot. So I'm going to do it on slow cook. I want it on low, and I'm going to do it for, I think I'll set it for 5 hours. So that's it. We let it sit for the 5 hours and cook, and then when it's done, it's done. The only thing we have left to do is just put it into the meal prep containers. And then, like I said, if you wanted to add that point of cheese, you can. I'm just gonna wait, and if I decide I want it during the week, then I'll put it on then. I'm really trying to back off the amount of cheese that I eat, because I'm realizing that I eat quite a bit of cheese. Okay, so the hash just got done, so I'm gonna put it in my containers. So usually when I make this hash, I top it with a fried egg. It's just really good with fried eggs. But because I'm making this for lunch prep, I'm not gonna have a fried egg at work. I don't wanna make a fried egg ahead of time and have it be sitting in my container that long. So I'm just gonna actually have a piece of bread with it. I'll just spray it with some spray butter the day that I have it. This is Nature's Own 100% whole grain sugar-free bread. For this kind, it's 1 point per slice. So I'm just gonna fold a slice up and put it in my meal prep containers. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to use the bread instead of the cheese. So this way it's still going to be 6 points, because I'll just be using a point worth for the bread instead of the cheese. And let me show you what it looks like. So that is what it looks like. I think you can see that. There we go. Get it in the light a little better. And the good thing with this is it does retain a lot of the liquid in there, if you can see there, down in there, and that's good. That'll keep it from drying out. All right, so this one is 1706 minus the 180, so 1526. So for this one, we're going to have about 254 grams in each one. And I think I'm going to use my ladle just to make sure that I get enough of the liquid. All right, so there's 255. So that is how much we'll get. I feel like the lighting is getting bad right now. The sun, it's not real. There we go. You can see it a little better now. So that's a pretty decent portion. So I'm just gonna go through and portion out the rest. Okay, so our lunches are done. I'm really looking forward to these. So like I said, if you have time, you know, I didn't even think I could have made some hard-boiled eggs and put hard-boiled eggs with it. But if you're making this at home and it's not for work, put a fried egg over the top and just kind of let that yolk run in there. It is so good. Like I said, the ground beef hash, the way it is without the cheese, is 5 points on blue, 5 points on green, and 3 points on purple. And if you're counting calories, I did look it up, without the Velveeta shreds is 375 calories. It's 30 calories for 1/8 of a cup of the Velveeta shreds. And then, like I said, I have a point worth of the bread. And if you're counting calories, this bread is 50 calories per one slice. For breakfast prep, I'm gonna do breakfast bowls, and I'm using chicken sausage in mine. You could definitely do these any way you want, but the way that I'm doing them, they're 4 points on blue, 1 point on purple, 8 points on green, and 239 calories. So just depending what you put in them, these are real versatile. I just use the chicken sausage that you get from Aldi, and then I use 2 cans of white potatoes and some eggs. So this is so easy. You can use bacon if you want. You can use regular potatoes. I'm just going to be using canned potatoes, and don't mind my nails. I didn't have time to do them. I'm going to be using this chicken sausage. This is the country style chicken breakfast sausage. This is from Aldi. Make sure if you get this, you don't get the one with maple, because that will be more points. So I'm going to use all 7 links of that. I have 2 cans of sliced potatoes, which I'm actually going to be kind of dicing them up a little bit. Aldi actually just started selling the sliced ones. They used to only sell whole. Walmart does sell diced ones, but those are really kind of watered down. So I don't really care for those ones. So usually if I want diced, I just buy the sliced or the whole and dice them up myself. So 2 cans of those, and then 12 eggs. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my potatoes and sausage going, and I'm going to do those together in one pan, and then I'll do the eggs separate in another pan. You could do them all together if you want. I just prefer to do my eggs separate. So all I'm going to do is just cut these into little pieces. And I have a pan over here on my stove heating up. And for the potatoes and the sausage, normally I just spray my pans with cooking spray when I'm cooking. So like for the eggs, I'll just use cooking spray. But for the sausage and potatoes, I'm just going to use a little splash of avocado oil. And then just put the sausage in there. And then just kind of dice your potatoes up however you want them. If you want them whole like this, you can leave them that way. That's fine. To me, it's just easier to put them in the 6 containers. So I'm just going to let those start cooking while I scramble the eggs up. So now I'm just going to get my eggs cracked in here, and I'm just going to mix in about a 1/4 cup of water with them. It just kind of makes them a little bit more fluffier, I think. Now I'm just going to flip my potatoes, stir those up with the sausage. Alright, while those are going, I've got another pan over here that I have sprayed with some cooking spray, and I'm going to start my eggs. All right, I'm actually going to take these off of the burner before they're done, just because they're going to continue cooking a little bit in the pan. while I have them set aside. So I'm actually just going to set them aside and let them cool. And I've had questions before about what temperature I cook my eggs on. So for both of these, I had the burners on medium-high for pretty much the whole time. I really don't change them. As you can see, when I'm cooking the eggs, I just keep lifting it off of the burner to stir it a little bit more and then put it back down on there. It's got a nice golden color. So I'm just going to set these both aside and let them cool before I put them in the bowls. So the next thing I'm going to do is just mix everything all together in a bowl, and I'm going to actually weigh the whole thing so that I can get the exact amount that I need in each one. Now granted, it's going to be all mixed, so it's not going to have exactly the points, but it should be pretty close. So first I wanted to show you, these are the bowls that I use for these. They're just Pyrex storage. Well, I have 6 of these, and for some reason, I can only find 3 in my cabinet. So I was looking through my cabinets, and I forgot about this thing that my mother had picked up for me. I think she picked it up like at Goodwill or something. So it has stackable, I don't even know if Weight Watchers still has this. So I thought this would be perfect for these. And the thing is, they clip on the sides here. Oops. And then it has a top. It actually has 4 of them, but I'm just going to be using 3. And then it has a top like that, and then handles. So I don't know if Weight Watchers still has these. I'll try and see if I can find them, but I've never used them. When my mom gave them to me, I thought, oh yeah, those are all right, but wow, I guess I really didn't pay attention to them. All right, everyone, I'm going to stick this clip in here. It's actually Monday now. I am teleworking this morning and just got my breakfast out so that I could heat it. I don't know what I was thinking when I meal prepped. You can't put these in the microwave. These are stainless steel. So if you have these, do not put them in the microwave. I don't know what I was thinking. But the thing is, I still think these are going to be great for like transport. So probably what I'll do is, even when I'm working, I'll take them to work and then I'll just dump them out onto a paper plate or something. So I still like them. I still think they're going to be great for transport. But I did just want to put this in here to let you know I just wasn't even thinking of it on meal prep. All right, so now back to the video. So let me just mix everything together in a bowl. This is still kind of hot, but that's okay. I'm just afraid that my eggs will cook too much if I leave them sitting there too long. All right, then just carefully mix that all around. So normally I wouldn't really weigh them out. What I do is just take my 6 bowls and just put an even amount in each. But since I'm using 2 different bowls, I figure I'll weigh it out. On the bottom of this, I have it written how much this bowl weighs. So that way I can just deduct it. So I'm going to weigh it in grams. So it's 1,266 grams and the bowl weighs 180. So 1086 divided by 6. So about 181 grams in each container. Perfect. Well, it's going up a little. So as you can see, that's a pretty good portion. All right, and that's the last one. So you can see what it looks like in these containers. I really like these containers. I'm gonna have to look for more. I love that you could just hook them all together and carry them together. Okay, so there's our breakfast bowl. So again, 4 points on blue, 1 point on purple, 8 points on green, and 239 calories. All right, now I'm gonna put my dinner kits together. So if you're new to my channel, I do DIY dinner kits. Basically, just put all the ingredients that I need into a kit. That way it's in my fridge ready to go the night that I have it. So the first one that I'm doing is crispy breaded pork chops. This is a skinny taste recipe. So normally what I do is I only have enough for 2 portions in here. So it's just enough for my husband and I. It just helps on portion control. I always write the points on here. You can see my marker is kind of getting faded. So I use a dry erase marker on these bags. These are reusable bags. I'll link them down below. And I just use a dry erase marker and it comes off pretty good with warm soapy water. I mean, you can see you can kind of see a little bit from where I wrote before, but it works pretty well. So, but it looks like my marker's getting a little faded. So this one I'm doing just the crispy breaded pork chops with cucumber salad. So all I'm doing is putting everything down in the bag. So for this one, it's 5 blue, 5 purple, 6 green, and 437 plus calories. Just depends on how much you have for the cucumber salad. So for these, I really am not doing like a cook with me or anything. I'm just kind of showing you an example of how to do the dinner kits. But if I have videos out there for any of these recipes, then I'll link them down below. So I'm just putting the cucumbers in the bag, and then I just put them like that. We eat our cucumbers peeled, so I'll just peel them the night that we have them. And then I'm also using this Olive Garden light Italian dressing. We just use a little bit mixed in with the cucumbers on that. So I'll put that in there. And then for my pork chops, I have some pork chops that I already have portioned out. These I just took out of the freezer, so I'll put them in the bag that way and they'll finish thawing in my fridge. For the topping for the pork chops, this is the only thing I'm not doing a portion for 2. Normally when a recipe calls like this one makes enough for 6 portions, so usually I would scale the recipe down and kind of figure out the portions to make just 2. With this one, it's really kind of hard to scale it down. What I usually do is just put enough for all 6 portions into a baggie, and then I know I have 6 portions in there, and then after I use like a third of it, I'll take a dry erase marker and just write 4 servings or whatever left in there. Then the next time when I use half of that, I'll know that I just have 2 servings left. So I just keep it in there, and then that way I actually have enough to make 3 dinners. So just depending how many you're having, you know, if you're a family of 3 and you make the 6, then you'll know you'll have it for 2 dinners. So for this one, the first thing we need is a 1/3 cup of cornflake crumbs. So actually, let me do this first. I'm just gonna put them in here and crush them up first. All right. The next thing I'm going to need is a 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs. And make a mess. Then we want 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese, which it looks like I am getting low on Parmesan. Then we want 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. The recipe calls for 1 1/4 teaspoons of sweet paprika, but I don't have sweet paprika, so I'm just using regular. So 1 1/4 teaspoons of that. Then we want 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, and then about 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. And that is all there is. So then just seal up the bag, mix it all around, and that will be the topping for 6 pork chops. So then I'll put that in my bag, and I'm gonna put my pork chops in the bag. And then the last thing I'm gonna put in there that I don't normally put in there is an egg. So I have an egg in here. And because I get so many questions about these containers, these are containers that I got back when I used to order the meal delivery kits. So I just kept them. So I can't link you to these. So normally things like this, like my egg, I wouldn't normally put in the bag. I just leave it in the fridge, and the night I need it, I take it out. But because I'm low on eggs and I'm afraid my husband may make some eggs, I want to make sure that he doesn't use the last of the eggs, and then I won't have it for that night. So that's why I'm putting that in there now. And that is how I do my dinner kits. So some of the dinner kits I don't do. I don't do dinner kits for the whole week. It just depends if I can save myself some time. So as you see with that breading, it definitely saved me some time. So the only other one that I'm going to do this week is just put the bourbon glaze together for the bourbon glazed salmon. So this will just go in my fridge until the night that I make it. Okay, the last one that I'm putting together is bourbon glazed salmon. This one I'm not putting the sides in the bag, so the points on this one are just for the salmon alone. 1 point for blue and purple, 5 green, 261 calories. Yeah, that That marker is really getting faded. And then on the bottom, I just wrote what I'm going to be having with it. Rice and Brussels sprouts. It's just the 90-second ready rice that goes in the microwave and frozen Brussels sprouts. So I won't be putting those in the bag. For this one, it's bourbon glazed salmon. And this one, you marinate it in the bourbon glaze for between 2 and 12 hours. I usually marinate it overnight. So when I am meal prepping on Sundays, what I usually do is make my marinade and I go ahead and put my salmon right in there and let it sit in my fridge. Because it's only Saturday, I don't want it marinating for 2 days. So for me, salmon night is Monday nights. So that's why usually when I prep on Sunday, I just mix it and put it in the marinade. But since today's only Saturday, I'm just gonna make the marinade, and then probably tomorrow night, Sunday night, I'll put my salmon in the marinade and let it marinate overnight. So this is actually enough for 3 portions. So I have about a pound of salmon here. I've mentioned before, my dogs have salmon when we have salmon night. So what you're gonna want is some ginger. I actually prefer to use the regular fresh ginger, but I forgot to buy some. So I'm just gonna use this ground ginger. And also 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm using the Lakanto monk fruit sweetener. So this is 0-point sugar. So if you use regular brown sugar, then that may change your points and calories. So I have both of them mixed in here. I'm just gonna put those in the bag. The other thing I have here is 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. So that will go in there. I also have 1.5 ounces of bourbon. This is Knob Creek bourbon, and you can buy it in this little container. And this little container will last me to make 2 of these. So it's basically half goes in today, and then I'll save the other half for another night. So 1.5 ounces of that. And if you're worried about the alcohol, alcohol does burn off when you're cooking it. So you don't have to worry about any alcohol content getting in the salmon. But if you don't like to cook with alcohol, then you definitely could leave that out. All right, the other thing I need is a garlic clove. Now you can either mince this up real good or you could shred it in there. And that goes in the bag. And the last thing we need is about a tablespoon of lime juice. If you don't have fresh limes, you can definitely use the kind that they sell. And I think usually for a tablespoon, it's about half of a lime. Yeah, so about half of a lime. And that is it for the marinade. So then just seal that up. And then just kind of mix it up with your hand. And then, like I said, tomorrow night, I will just take the salmon out of here, put it in this bag, and just let it sit in my fridge and marinate overnight. So I'm just gonna open up, let a little bit of that air out. And that's it. So if you made, you know, some other vegetables that weren't frozen, you could put those down in the bottom of the bag. Didn't probably really need a big bag for this. And that is it for my dinner kits. And you know, now that I think of it, for snacks this week, I really don't have anything to prep. I'm not doing pretzels this week. Usually I would portion out my pretzels, weigh those out, put them in little baggies, but I don't have pretzels this week. I don't have any fruit to cut up. I'm gonna be doing kiwi, pudding, and I have rice cakes, so nothing to prep with those. So like I said, snacks, I don't really have any prepping to do, so that is it. So this is meal prep for this week. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. I'm Kristi, and I'm Planning Us Healthy.
What?
How come it's always Papa? What about Nana? How about Nana? You gonna play basketball? Where are you going? Oh.
They don't bounce at all.
Yep, you gotta sit so you don't fall down those stairs. Are you sitting like Papa? Say hi. Logan. Say hi. Logan. Look, right here. Say hi.
Wait. Sit. Right. Sit. Sit.
Sit.
Molly's getting the ball.
Mine. Look. Mine.
Say drop it, Molly. You going to brush, Molly?
Yay.
Yay.
Whoa, whoa.